So I figured, well, I'll go through my archives and I'll get out a couple and I'll show you what's been going on in Australia and what continues to go on in Australia from Perth, Melbourne, Sydney. It does not matter. Lebanese, Sudanese, and Somalians have taken over the cities. They have formed gangs. They run around like wild packs of hyenas. And we know what's happened to Europe, South Africa, Scandinavia, and we see what's happened to Canada. And I want you, Americans, to see that this is worked its way over to you now. We are next. As you watch the video of these gangs destroying these stores, you see this is just sheer destruction. Sheer destruction for no reason other than to destroy. Of course they're thieves, but they're going to destroy just because they want to destroy. This is what the flood does. This is what evil does. And this is everywhere, man. You see, we are engulfed now. We are encompassed. We are surrounded. Just as the Almighty Father said that Jacob would be, you will be surrounded. America, this is here on your shores. I'm not telling you to go grab a gun. I'm not telling you to do anything foolish. I'm simply telling you to get yourself prepared spiritually and to get yourself prepared physically. If you will prepare yourself spiritually, your Father will prepare you physically, however he deems necessary. This is reality. Let's look at some other videos. And this is in Australia. And then ask yourself, how did all these people get to Australia? Thousands and thousands of miles away. What are they doing in Australia? Because they were brought there as part of the flood. They were brought there as part of the flood, and we know who did it, don't we? Don't we know? Take care. God bless.
Good evening. The owner of an Elsternwick jewellery shop has had a gun held to his head in a terrifying hold-up. His two female colleagues were forced under desks as the masked thugs smashed open cabinets, stole jewellery and fled. Crime reporter Alexis Dash.
In the middle of a quiet day, a masked thug storms the jewellery shop office and points a handgun to the owner's head. He's ordering him to open the safe while the gun is pushed into his neck. Two female workers are terrified. Obeying the gunman's orders, they crouch on the ground under the desks. While one offender is terrorising staff in the back office, three others storm the shop. They jump glass cabinets and use hammers to smash open displays. In a matter of moments, they steal tray after tray of diamond rings, gold chains and bracelets, all up more than $150,000 worth of stock. One of the crooks panics and yells, "Let's go," and finally the terrifying ordeal is over.
Males described as Sudanese in appearance, covered in their face.
The father of two held at gunpoint has owned H&H Jewellery on Glen Huntly Road for 18 years.
Left him pretty shaken and terrified.
While detectives scoured the crime scene and seized CCTV footage, they received a lead just 2.5 kilometres away. The getaway car met with a second car in Gardenia Road in Gardenvale after committing the robbery.
All we know is they've met up with another group and then they've taken off in different directions.
As the heist came to an end, one of the women came to her knees and slid the office door closed, while the other found her phone and called 000. A harrowing ordeal as police hunt the gang responsible.
Live now to Alexis Station, Elsternwick. And Lexi, do police have any leads?
Good evening to you, Brett. Well, look, the strongest leads police have is, of course, the security footage from the shop, but they've also got descriptions of two cars they believe were responsible. The first was the waiting getaway car that was parked in Orong Road here, just off Glen Huntly Road. Now, that's believed to be a black sedan, similar to a Holden Commodore, and it didn't have any number plates on at the time. That car is believed to have met up in Gardenvale, and that other car is believed to be a black SUV. Police are really asking for the public's help here. They need people to keep a lookout. They have described the offenders as 4 offenders of Sudanese appearance. Now, if anyone sees a group that matches that description in one of the cars I have mentioned, they should contact Crime Stoppers immediately. Back to you.
A tradie has confronted 3 bandits armed with machetes who terrorised a service station attendant in Melbourne southeast. After witnessing the terrifying robbery, he chased them down with a hammer. Crime reporter Alexis Dash has this exclusive report.
Wildly smashing the 7-Eleven doors with a knife, the attendant is inside alone. An accomplice with a machete joins in, hacking at the doors and keeping watch while a third, also armed with a machete, attacks the glass as well. They start kicking and pushing, shattering the entrance while trying to force it open. Eventually, one bandit squeezes between the doors. He charges in and the associate, armed with a long piece of wood, slides them open.
I was just scared and I just entered the counter room and the counter door was locked.
Worker Jaspreet Singh is cowering in the corner at the sight of the machete but cooperates, opening the till. One gang member takes hundreds of dollars before shattering glass startles the victim. The brute is repeatedly smashing the security door. The 19-year-old attendant bravely reaches towards him to open it.
They were young and they were Africans.
A customer is filling up outside and realises the horror that's unfolding. As the robbery finishes, he grabs a hammer from his car and walks towards the crooks. He appears to call out to them. Then the Good Samaritan starts chasing them, pursuing the violent offenders behind the shop. The victim says the trio fled on foot, running through a primary school behind the service station. Police are now investigating whether the same thugs are responsible for similar robberies overnight in Kew, Glen Waverley and Chadstone. The customer, who regularly buys coffee and fuel there, was on his way to work around 4 this morning. He stayed with Jaspreet before police arrived, helping to pick up packets of cigarettes that the gang left behind.
He was a nice guy and he tried to save me.
Alexis Daish, 9 News.
The bloodiest was in the Victorian capital, where tensions between two rival gangs exploded during a popular community festival, and innocent members of the public were caught in the middle. But as Matt Gallant reports, the bitter feud is far from over, with both sides threatening there is more violence to come.
It's the moment violence erupted in the heart of Melbourne as two rival gangs clashed. Streets filled with chaos.
My wife, she's just distraught. I said, just stay behind here. You know, you can't really run anywhere. There's too many of them.
No one was safe. Diners were caught in the crossfire. One innocent bystander was hit in the head with a metal chair.
The screaming, well, that was really terrifying.
As the fight continued, people were forced to seek refuge inside bars and restaurants.
This is insane.
Police arrived to reclaim the streets, but it was too late and they were outnumbered.
The sort of behaviour last night, as I said, will not be tolerated, and we'll be cracking down hard on this particular group.
Russell Mullery captured the carnage on his mobile phone.
I was scared, thinking, what's going to happen? Does anyone have any weapons? Is anyone going to get seriously hurt?
Police arrested 4 men. One was allegedly armed with a taser, but countless escaped. One man was taken to hospital with serious head injuries. During the brawl, which lasted around 20 minutes, a young man with a megaphone was inciting more violence, saying things like, "We warned you, and this isn't over."
You can clearly tell that it was a very well-planned event.
That fear they promote, that's what would put chills in anybody's up their spine.
Restaurants were forced to shut their doors for hours as police locked down the area.
I was very, very scared. Even police came. Police advised us, if you can shut the door, because there are some people, they are fighting and they are going shop inside and they are robbing.
The fight was promoted on social media as part of an ongoing feud between rival gangs called Apex and Islander 23.
If that's the future, God help us, I tell you, that's very scary. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Reporter Jess Dietrich is at Punchbowl. Jess, teachers are speaking out about this.
Yeah, that's right. Now, News Corp has obtained a number of complaints from former teachers at Punchbowl Public School. One woman in particular claims it all got too much for her. She had to quit her job. The final straw being receiving death threats against her family from her Year 5 and 6 students, some of them threatening to behead her. Now, prior to that, she claims she'd made a number of complaints back in 2014 about some of the behaviour in her classroom. She claims she was abused when she stopped a number of students from flying a Syrian flag in the classroom. She was pushed into a corner by some students who then began marching around her chanting the Quran. And she says there was constant talk of family members fighting in the war in Syria, and that certain students would just walk out midway through a lesson to go and say their prayers. Now, according to News Corp, at least 3 former teachers here had to receive counselling or stress leave or even compensation. Now, what is worrying, Nat, is that because this was a few years ago, those students have probably then graduated onto the school down the road, Punchbowl Boys High, where we understand that the former principal there was kicked out after refusing to allow the Education Department to run a counter-extremism program there targeting students at risk of radicalisation. Nat.
Thank you, Jess.